or before DLSL, ever been part of a 2-game winning streak where you led for 3 minutes and 12 seconds?
Probably not. No, probably not. We just talk about, it just matters at the end, at the final horn. I thought our guys did just an unbelievable job being resilient, being competitive, being mentally and physically tough. Going on the road is hard in this league, and especially when you're going against a USC team that was driven, that knew that was a big game, and obviously going against UCLA is one of the best teams in our conference. Just the fortitude and the toughness that they showed this past week. Just really proud of that.
Do you feel like the added teams to the Big Ten, the fact that there's your teams in the Big Ten tournament, it puts everybody on edge like this time of the year, even the ones at the top of the conference, but more so like middle of the pack and bottom where it's so close. 2-3 games here and there, it could make or break you.
Right. Yeah. No, I think this league's full of good teams, and there is not a lot of separation. And when you have, kind of those one-off games and those tiebreakers, definitely heightens things. I think it just goes more to show that in this league, from top to bottom, it's going to come down to who's healthy, kind of when you play teams, what part of the year, what home games do you have late, maybe, because it's a monster. And again, you could be 2 games away from bottom 4 or top 4. It's really that close. So, our goal is just to be improving each and every day. You can only control what you can control, and I think our guys done a good job of just controlling what they can control.
Ben, as the season winds down, it's the last couple games for Dawson. How do you look back, big picture-wise, on the appreciation you have for what he's provided this program?
Yeah, unbelievable appreciation. I think a guy that's just given everything to me, to this program, takes a ton of pride in obviously setting the bar and the standard for what we want to be about from here moving forward, and he's done it on and off the floor. I think you probably don't see all the stuff behind the scenes that he does as far as just being an unbelievable teammate, being super consistent, stuff he does in the community, stuff he does in the classroom. There's just, you got no issues. He's no maintenance, and that's so hard these days to find a guy with his ability and match with his character, who he is as a man. He's going to be successful in whatever he does because of all those habits and traits that he has, and it just rubs off on other guys. When you got a guy like that operates on a day-to-day and is so consistent, it just sets the bar for the younger guys in our program to see as an example of, this is how you do things, especially if you want to be successful. Mm-hmm. And so just super appreciative that he trusted, me and us. And he's definitely, left the standard of play and just a standard of how you gotta be.
Is there anything from a statistical standpoint that you look to in awe? I think he's climbing the charts in 3 years in the scoring.
Yeah.
Having a 4th year.
No, if he was here for 4 years, I think he'd got a chance to be an all-time leading scorer. I think that's real. And that's pretty impressive. To do that, to be that close in 3 years. Couldn't imagine if he had 4 years here. He'd be looking at setting a bar that was just, in today's culture, I don't know how many times it's going to get passed. Either if you're good enough, you're going to leave and go pro, or, you're not here long enough to do it. So, he's been super productive. I think he's gotten better every year. I think he's added to his game every year. And I think we're seeing the cups of just kind of where he's been able to take it and how consistent he's been.
You mentioned and stuff. Is that especially important? Because I imagine he's at the top of every scout report, right?
Yeah.
You got to figure out ways to adjust to what kind of defenses you're going to see.
And everybody's going to attack him different because of his versatility. So you just, as a coach, you go into a game and you don't know how necessarily they're going to cover him. The double's coming. A post crowd's going to come. There are going to be multiple eyes, multiple bodies on him. Some teams, will go all in and not even guard maybe 1 or 2 other guys on our team. Other teams won't. So it's like that chess match every game to figure out, all right, how is he being defended today? How can we get him open? And, college is not like the NBA. When you can just sit dudes and help, it makes it a lot harder. So if you think about, when he gets 20 in a college game, how hard that is because of the defensive rules versus, that's probably easily another 10, 12, 15 points in like an NBA-style game where you can't just sit guys and help and just, basically say, here we are. So I just give him a ton of credit. He's never lost his composure. He's never, even at USC when they were just all in on him, he was about the right stuff about winning. And he knows it'll come, and it didn't the next game at UCLA. He's just patient with it, and he's just mature. And I think it's made him better because now he's found out, all right, I gotta make sure I cut to get open. I gotta make sure all those details are on point because he don't have a lot of room for error. He's got a small window, even on his drives. He's got to catch and go, or he's got to be creative. And so I think it's definitely made him better. It's made him that much more of a versatile scorer. And I think, I just think he's playing really good basketball right now.
Does that set himself up better for the next level, coming back a year and adding some of those things?
Yeah, I think so. I think, what he's been able to do just in his all-around game, just maturing. Everybody gets better as they get older if you're talented and you work hard. I just really believe that. And I think if you're looking at the NBA now, everybody wants to win, and you got to win now. And you're most successful with older guys. It's what it is. And I think the year he has now to just kind of fine-tune, get better at his right hand, get better at letting the game slow down, really finding his go-to spots and making those elite and automatic, getting confident in his shooting. I think that was a big one, is being selective and taking the right ones. And now when you take the right ones, you make them. So now you're a confident shooter. You can definitely stretch out to three. I think so. All that came into play, and I just think somebody's going to get him at whenever time he chooses to go, and they're going to get a guy that's going to help and impact winning. And then you see him, and it's like he's 6'11". Some of the stuff he's doing off the dribble, off the bounce, like he had that rip on the left wing at UCLA, and it's like the dude's 6'11". I think sometimes you take it for granted because of how we play him, and even defensively. We can switch 1 through 5 with him. And he's 6'11", I don't know if he gets enough credit for that.
Was it always in there, though? He was a McDonald's All-American.
Yeah, he was, but, I think you also see a handful of guys that don't make it, at least I have. I think, he's been so patient. It's easy with the McDonald's guy. All of a sudden now the expectation is we need to be at a certain level by your freshman year or your sophomore year. And if you're not, then oh my God, and everybody freaks out. And I think he's stuck to the plan. And I think because of that, his game's matured, he's gotten better, and I really think he's going to play at the pro level for a long time because of that. It's easy. You could go, if you go too early and you don't make it in those 1 or 2 years, you could be done. Versus if you go at the right time, now you're sticking. Look at Amir. Amir's going to be a pro for 10, 12, 15 years. Timing. And he had a mature game. And I think Dawson's the same, where you work on your craft, you get better, you grow as a person, and then when you go, you're ready, and now you stick. I think that's the biggest thing is not just to get there, but how do you stick? And there's nothing that tells me that dude's not going to stick.
And what's kind of the message for tomorrow, knowing that a couple weeks ago you're feeling pretty good about yourselves, and then you let one slip against Washington?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, no, exactly that. I think we talk about just all the different experiences that you got to go through as a team, especially when you're figuring out how to win. And we're still, we've won, but we're still figuring out what that looks like. And you got to reference back to all those experiences to say, okay, shame on us if this happens a second time. But you got to go through it. And so hopefully that lesson's learned. We've talked about that the more you win, the harder it gets because now teams are really up for you. And, this is one of the few teams where we'll play twice. You beat them at their home place. They're going to be that much more ready. They're coming off a big win. They're going to be that much more dialed in and ready. And we've got to be able to not change what we've done. I think that's the biggest thing is you win 2 games on the road that are huge. Human nature says you should feel good about it. Everybody's going to be positive. You're going to have X, Y, and Z happening. Oh, just think about this, this, and this. And it's easy to get sidetracked. And, I want our guys to still remember that we're the team that everybody picked dead last. And very few people probably would win this many games in league play. And to have that reference point and to hold on to that because the urgency still got to be one of that team. And I think if we keep that thought process, you don't let the moment get too big, and you don't let outside stuff factor in, and you don't think ahead. You live in the now, because I think that's so big. And again, for this group, we don't have a lot of room for error. We can't overlook and will not overlook anybody or any game, any situation. It's just everything's its own new entity, and we've got to have that urgency and that almost like desperation.
What did you feel like was key against Penn State last time with Ace Baldwin? He didn't shoot it very well.
Yeah.
He turned him over a couple times.
Yeah, I thought our guys defensively did a really good job on him. I mean, he's a major point of emphasis. He's so disruptive defensively. I think sometimes you can lose sight of what he could do offensively, especially when he's really engaged, and he's really engaged right now. And he's an elite passer. So I think we've got to be on edge for sure with him. Seniors go two ways. Either they want it to be done or they don't want it to be over. And you watch him on film, and I get the feeling like he's not ready for it to be over yet. And so we've got to match that desperation, that competitive spirit. But I thought our guys did a good job the first game, but that's no guarantee we're going to do a good job this game. So we got to be on point and know we're going to get his best shot.
Is there any update on Tyler, where he's at?
You know, that's a tough one. I mean, it's you just never know the way your body's going to react after surgery. And the hard part is now you're so far into it, it's not fair to him or probably our guys even to entertain that thought, you know, especially when you're playing well. You know, to get into the rotation now is almost impossible. So, you know, we'll figure out in the next week, kind of maybe a week or so, what the plan is with him and talk to him. But, you know, it's just unfortunate because he was a big piece of what we were going to do. I mean, you're talking about a guy that came from a really good program, well-coached, MAC Defensive Player of the Year. You know, you're watching him in the summer and you're thinking, all right, this is going to be a major contributor. So I know it's been frustrating for him, but he's persevered. And like I said, other guys over the course of the year have been able to step up and kind of fill the void.
You mentioned that you want guys to remember that they were picked to finish last. How often does that come up? How much does that drive you?
A lot. I mean, and it's not one of those like rah-rah, you know, forget, you know, F everybody. It's not one of those. It's more like perspective. I think perspective is big. Like, you just got to have perspective of who you are, where you're at, and your situation. And that perspective, I don't want our guys to get comfortable with. You know, the minute you feel like you've arrived, I know for a coach that's a scary feeling, and I don't want guys to ever feel like we've arrived. I want them to be confident and feel good about how they're playing. But there's a difference in feeling good in what you're doing and feeling like you've arrived. And I think just those constant reminders, you know, any advantage we can get our guys just from the mental approach of like, no, we still have a lot more to prove. And I've told them, there's still going to be a lot of people that say or waiting for us to lose. You know, it's like, oh, the whole here we go again, or they couldn't continue to keep it going. I mean, all that stuff, I think it's good to talk about because it is real. And whatever we can do to motivate our guys and these group of young men to just keep the focus, that's the most important part. If we put forth our best effort and you lose, I can live with that. Like, I'm all good. But you look back to the Washington game, the first 20 minutes wasn't our best effort mentally. You know, credit them because they played well, but those are the ones that hurt when you don't give your all, you didn't bring it. Those are the ones that we don't want to have regrets. And so whatever we can do to stir their memory that this is who we are and, you know, don't forget that, I think is a good thing.
I remember Lukai said something after that about, you know, hey, or maybe it was the Illinois game, that we know what's at stake. And he even mentioned going into USC and UCLA that, hey, we went to, we're right there with the Big Ten tournament qualifying. Like, it's on his mind. He was talking about it. I never really hear players talk about the NCAA tournament like that, but this new Big Ten tournament format has guys thinking, like, every game, like, we need that to get in there.
I mean, I think it's, you know, it's a big deal for these guys, especially when you've got a new group. You've got a lot of guys that have gone up a level. You've got a lot of guys that heard about what we lost, you know, and I think hopefully the feeling of we're just as good, if not better, and that, yeah, we lost some pieces that were valuable last year that are off doing big things, but I want these guys to have the ego of saying, well, I'm here, you know. So I think there is part of that, and part of knowing that you're in a situation where nobody thought you'd be maybe right here, except for the guys in the room. So how do you take advantage of that? I think that's and it's not a pressure thing. I don't want them to feel, that's why I don't talk about it. Everybody knows what it is, but it's more about the pressure of, can you not change who you are, and can every day you take advantage and just win that day? Like today, the only thing we need to worry about is having the best prep we can today. And then hopefully that carries over to tomorrow. And then tomorrow, just worry about that game. I don't care about any other day, any other game, none of that. If you do that, you put yourself in a position to maybe have a chance. And that formula's worked for us. So we just got to keep sticking to that.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, just knowing that we needed both of those. Starting to trip off good with USC. Just gave us a lot of momentum going into UCLA. And, you know, I think everybody drew the line in that game, or those two games where we was just like, we're not going to lose. So I'm just happy of my teammates that we all adopted that mentality there.
Knowing what's at stake, does that put more urgency into it? Like, you know, you got to win to make sure we get in the Big Ten tournament?
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more at stake than just the Big Ten tournament. I feel like we could get in the top 7, and you know, who knows what can happen. So yeah, we got a lot at stake, and I think everybody's starting to realize that we can really, you know, do something real special here right now. So I think everybody's on board with that.
What did it do for your confidence to not only get that going and lay up, you know, late, but then also draw the charge in the next possession?
Like I said, just being in those moments, and then my teammates just trusted me with the ball. Actually, I felt like I've been in a lot of those type of tight crunch time positions. So just trying to stay calm and composed, and got a good angle to the basket, and it was a wide open layup. So
When you guys beat Michigan, I know you gave it up to Dawson for that big shot. Like after that, how these late game situations, do you feel like you guys have even more confidence with him and with each other?
yeah, we played in a lot of tight games, as y'all know. Like you remember in the beginning of the season, like we was playing all those tight games. So we like to win like that. When it's tight like that, I don't feel like nobody really gets nervous, because it's just like it is what it is. We're gonna try to pull it out. So those games in the beginning really helped us figure out ways to win right now. So
What's flipped for you, okay, even before the LA trip? I mean, production is higher now compared to earlier in the season. What has led to that?
Definitely, early in the season, I had a couple, injuries, shoulder and, bruised chest. So I was kind of playing through a lot. So that was kind of with my shooting struggles. But yeah, definitely more confident right now. I feel like it's something on the line. So, I see everybody, everybody's still together, and everybody's trying to get to the same goal, and that's, the NCAA tournament and the Big Ten tournament. So, for that just to be on the line right now, and, it's my last year, I'm just trying to do everything in my power. I'm just putting it all out there right now. So,
What's the best example of how Dawson's been a good teammate for you?
She's just a great dude, man. I've been knowing Dawson since I've been, a kid. Not on his team, but against him. It's always been, one of my favorite guys to play against, just because how competitive he is, and not scared to play against anybody. But like I said, me and him, our relationship actually got closer. I feel like throughout this end of this stretch that we're on right now, just having the the ability to get on each other. And not even in a negative way, but like, yo, come on, let's start doing this now, and not getting mad about it, taking the hard criticism, and then congratulating each other on our big successes. So it's just been great, really playing with a guy like him. So, and he makes my job a lot easier.
So you can criticize each other, though, and it's all love?
Yeah.
You guys can have real conversations?
Yeah, we got that. Yeah, he's like I said, man. Dawson's probably one of the realest people I know. From what I learned this year, just like I said, a real guy. He just wants to win. He's doing anything to win. Like you can see, he was a decoy in the USC game, and he allowed us to, he could have just try to take over, and just really try to force it, but like you just tell by his personality that he wants to win, and you know, he opened me up for a lot of shots, and I feel like that's why I really have a good game versus USC.
It could have been easy for things to fall apart after an 0-6 start for the locker room to be fractured. Why didn't that happen with this group?
You said what? Say it again, my
Could
bad.
have been like when you guys started 0-6, it could be easy for things to be fractured in the locker room if you guys sort of drift apart. Why didn't that happen with this group?
Cause you know, I mean, we're not a young group, so at the same time, it's like we could have, but it's like we knew like, you know, the Big Ten, like you can win you win one, you know, things can trickle, and you know, we got a older group, so it's like we've been here before, you know. People probably had losing seasons, and we just like, nah, we ain't settling for that for our last year, like, you know, like. I wouldn't want to go out like that, you know. So, and I don't think anybody does here. So, I feel like that's the big reason of why we're staying together right now, because it's kind of everybody's last year, and everybody knows what's at stake right now, and that's why you see us going so hard right now.
Do you feel like Coach brought up that you guys are predicted to finish last? A lot of people like count Ben out. Like, does that mentality sink in that like maybe there's not a lot of belief other than in the locker room sometimes?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it should just be more fuel to the fire. You know, even we're not last right now, but like we got picked last, so to me, like we're still last. You know, every team we play got picked in front of us, so it's like, you know, it's some of that, and then you know, it's just all media polls. So like we didn't really think we were last, but no, it was just. It's just like more fuel to the fire, and I can see that right now in the guys. It's like once we had one, you know, that Michigan one just gave us a lot of confidence, where it's like, okay, we beat the #1 team in the league. Like, why can't we beat, you know, all these other teams? So it was, you know, it's just good that, you know, helped us actually, you know, down this stretch that we're on right now, just to give us more confidence and to go out there and, you know, play hard.
Thanks, guy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Definitely satisfying is just to see our work pay off, and fun trip being out in LA, come back with some momentum.
When you look at this team, you just asked Kai about 0-6 start. You guys could have like fallen apart in the locker room. You know, why did you guys stick together?
Yeah, I think we stuck together. I think that just goes to show, you know, how connected we are, and the job that us as players and the staff did of just, you know, keeping our focus on just one day at a time, and really just leaning in together opposed to splitting apart.
Dawson, I know you got 5 or so games left. How do you look back on your career here in Minnesota overall as you kind of nears the end?
Yeah, I mean, it's just anytime you get to step on this floor, or, you know, wear the Minnesota uniform, it's a pleasure, it's an honor. So definitely just, I'm sure after my career is over, you know, whenever that may be, I'm sure I'll look back and kind of think about it more seriously and with more emotion. But right now I'm just kind of focused on each game at hand.
How do you feel like you've improved your game year over year to kind of be a focal point of the scouting report, but still find ways to be successful?
Yeah, I feel like I've just improved my game just in every single category. Just really took it personal in the offseason to just get better, you know, work on my conditioning, and just trust myself and believe in myself, I say.
What went into the 27 points in the second half at UCLA? Was that just your personal motivation, like, I got to do something here?
Nah, so really I really had the same mindset in the first half. It's just I knew I knew that game, it was going to be a good game for us and myself individually. I had the same mindset in the first half. It's just, you know, I feel like I was just making the right reads in the first half. They were sending a guy sprinting at me, so finding my teammates for some open looks. But I knew eventually, you know, they would break down and I'll be able to get it going.
Kai talked about the USC game, like he used the word decoy at times, you know, and let other guys get going. Like, you can go back and forth with being like, okay, I'm going to, you know, take over to maybe I don't have to do it on this half or this play. Like, not a lot of guys, you know, in your stature able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really just looking at it kind of just open and honestly and seeing like, all right, the defense is playing me this way. Is this going to help or hurt the team if I try to be ultra aggressive for myself? And so, yeah, they were definitely giving some tough looks out there, and you know, I was trying to make the right play. I feel like I definitely could have been a little bit more aggressive and assertive at times, but you know, you live and learn, and so you know, it's always just good to bounce back and see what you're made of the next game.
one of the biggest things on this trip was maybe other guys like Frank, Isaac, and even Lukai, kind of taking the lead at times and kind of supplementing you.
Yeah, I mean, I said this in my postgame at UCLA. It's a great thing about our team. We can have guys step up at any point, anytime. It could be a different guy each game. So Frank was monster with 15 and 11 versus USC, and then Lukai. He had the 25 points or whatever versus USC, but he made big-time clutch plays down the stretch versus UCLA, and Isaac's played good. But yeah, but Lukai really, he's really been like having clutch moments like that his whole life. Like I've been playing against him literally since we were in 3rd grade, and I just remember that's one thing that I always remember about him is he always kind of had that clutch factor.
He gave it up to you versus Michigan, though. Yeah, he might not have.
on my 9th call for the ball, he trusted me, man. But yeah, nah, he definitely heard me the whole time and saw me the whole time. He was just waiting for the right moment for the pass.
Does that sort of allow you to stay patient, knowing that when every team is game planning for you first and foremost? Does that allow you to stay patient, knowing that other guys can step up when needed?
Yeah, definitely. Just having to, trust. I feel like we all trust each other with the ball, and so it definitely gives me that patience.
Also, what's your bond like with Coach Thor? I mean, I saw you guys going over some stuff over there, and maybe that big hug after the UCLA game.
Yeah, my vibe's great with Coach Thor. He's been a big time mentor and role model in my life, and put a lot of work in, on and off the court, whether it's obviously training basketball or film work, and so definitely got a close relationship with him, and just look forward to ending the season the right way.
Thanks, Dawson.
Thank you guys.